Hello, welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe. This is the news on Tuesday, the 10th of March. We are here. We've got loads to talk about. We're talking Paul Scholes and Michael Carrick. They're back and forth. We've got another update on that. Paul Scholes has spoken about it on his podcast. I mean, it's playground stuff, isn't it, at this stage? But, you know, there's a lot to talk about. We've also got a little bit of an article talking about Michael Carrick and his chance at the permanent job, which, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sceptical of, but we'll get into that. Also, a couple of other stories as well. Morning, everyone, says Colin. Good morning. Morning, Ross. Morning, Skittle as well. Let's just get straight into this Paul Scholes story. Because there is... I mean, it was massive, wasn't it, after that game the other day, and Paul Scholes' Instagram story talking about, you know, how United have been crap for the last 4 games, and Michael's been lucky and all that sort of how it came across. Now, he sort of pushed back on this and said that that wasn't what he meant. He didn't mean that he's been lucky. It was an interesting one. So I'll just give the quotes first. So he said it was in no way intended to be offensive towards Michael. Michael's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He'd be the last person I would want to offend. I messaged Michael anyway. I went straight to him and said, look, I was never intending to upset you. I don't think I needed to say that anyway. And he told me himself he wasn't upset by it. Carrick took over after the sacking of Ruben Amorim and was unbeaten in his first 7 games. There you go. He said, I think people have just taken it differently to what was meant. The only thing I was saying is that I don't think they played well the last 4 games and he still managed to get results. We had the greatest manager in the world and he always said, sometimes you need a bit of luck. So with sending offs and different things that happen through games, sometimes you need a bit of luck. That's all I was saying. Wes Brown said, who was on the podcast with him, I can see it both ways. When Scholes explained it to me, it completely made sense, but how I read it was as if he's having a go at him. Scholes replied saying, what Wes said, I hadn't heard of that before. That I was saying that he was just a lucky manager. I wasn't saying that. I was saying he's a very talented manager because he's getting results with a team that for the last 4 games since the West Ham game, I didn't think we're playing very well. That's all. Now, I think this... let's just believe Paul Scholes for a minute because, you know, who cares really? But this sort of mounting pressure from the class of 92 and from former players at Man United is an ongoing sort of narrative around Manchester United. So I do think that there is a tendency for us as fans and us as viewers and us as spectators to put everything we can into this category, which is the class of 92 plus Roy Keane are very critical of Man United, more so than Liverpool's ex-players or Chelsea's ex-players or City's ex-players are to their own clubs. So that is a narrative that we already have sort of a predisposition towards, I think, as a fan base. Neville seems to be critical of United. Roy Keane seems to be critical of everything, especially United. And obviously Paul Scholes as well is in that category to a certain extent. Other than Rio Ferdinand, of the sort of main voices, it does seem as though there's a bit of a eye-rolling kind of, you know, well, here we go again, feel to that. So maybe we're quick to put things in that category. The other thing is, Paul Scholes isn't a writer. He isn't someone that is paid to do sort of, you know, text and written work for a living. He's someone that's a footballer that is posting an Instagram story with very few words or choosing to use very few words. So potentially he's meant one thing and to his eye, he's got that image across. But to the eye of people that are upset that United have lost, that are already expecting a pile-on from Paul Scholes and Keane and Neville and, you know, whoever else, when you read that, we're filtering it one way, and which is different to the way that he meant it. That is very possible. The only thing I don't quite get is that the explanation doesn't make that much sense. So he said, the only thing I was saying was that I don't think we played well for the last 4 games and still managed to get results, which in a way, you know, is sort of complimenting Carrick in a way. I think that what that requires is for us to separate, which a lot of people, again, from the slightly older school do, the manager's role from how the players play. The manager's job is just to get results. So when you look at the result, that is what the manager dictated. That's how we got to that position. I think for a lot of older players and a lot of older fans, you know, not everyone, but I think there is a tendency that if you won, the manager did well. If you lost, the manager did badly. To the point that when he's criticising how we played and the performances, in his head, that is just criticising the players. That the performances are down to the players and the results are down to the manager. That it seems to be that's how some people think. And certainly the older school kind of, Paul Scholes is in his 50s. I think he's in his 50s. He must be because he was in his 40s, or basically when he retired. So he's 51. And that he thinks the results are down to the manager and the performances are down to the players. So if you're criticising the performance, you're criticising the players. And if you're criticising the results, you're criticising the manager. And if you look at it through that lens, it makes sense. Because he's saying the performances were crap. And in his head, that means he's having to go at the players, not the manager. And in fact, the fact that the performances were bad but the results were good, if anything, is an even bigger compliment to the manager, because he, through whatever means you think a manager operates, managed to overcome these terrible performances. And if you think of it like that, and then take away the fact that we are slightly predisposed to thinking that people like Paul Scholes are going to be critical of United for no reason, and of Carrick for no reason, then it does kind of make sense. But presumably, he isn't unpicking all of that before he puts a post out. He isn't thinking of all of those things that I've just mentioned before he puts a post out. He's just thinking, bloody hell, they've been crap and Carrick still managed to get wins. Good on him. He is special. And we read it thinking it's piss-takey, it's sarcastic, it's weirdly kind of almost backstabby to a player that you won multiple Premier Leagues and a Champions League with. And he's thinking, hang on a sec, I'm complimenting a guy that I like. That's the position that Scholes has laid out. So I guess we can believe that. If we take, I don't think it's fair to only take the critical, negative words of someone as the truth, and when they come out and say something positive or deny that we don't believe that. That's and again another tendency that people have. Horrible things or bad things feel more true and more real than good things. Someone can say 10 times that, you look good, you look good, you look good. Fucking hell, that's a shit haircut. That's the thing you remember. When actually, 9 times out of 10, it's a compliment. So, factoring all that in, let's just take him at face value. And, assume that he means what he said. Someone just said in the comments, Joey Barton's been arrested. A safer and cleaner street for all of us. Good stuff. Let's talk about Michael Carrick then. Because on this, this is according to, who is this again? Team Talk. It's Graham Bailey. So it's sort of not James Marshment, who you can see there. This is someone else apparently. Graham Bailey, who's a sort of long-standing journalist with kind of mixed levels of reliability. Here we go. To that end, sources have confirmed to Team Talk that the Director of Football, Jason Wilcox, has made it clear to ownership, players, supporters and Carrick himself, he hasn't made it clear to supporters, has he? That the next permanent appointment will only be made through once a thorough process has been completed. Has he said that publicly? I haven't seen him say that. So how has he made that clear to supporters? I don't like the phrasing of that. Let me know if I've missed that quote. Team Talk understand that Jason Wilcox has made it clear to ownership, okay, could have happened, we don't know. Players, same. Supporters, I'm a supporter and that's not been made clear to me. And Carrick himself that the next permanent appointment will only be made once a thorough process has been completed. I don't know when he said that, but maybe he said it through other journalists. Team Talk transfer insider, here we go, Graham Bailey has spoken with sources inside Old Trafford to assess Carrick's current standing and the likelihood of him landing the job permanently. United love Carrick. They really are excited by him and what he's done, but they don't want to get carried away, just as many accuse them of doing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But this feels different. There's a real belief that Carrick could be nearing perfection for the club going forward. However, despite the positivity surrounding Carrick's work, United's recruitment leadership are determined not to rush the decision. And whilst Jason Wilcox is very happy, he isn't resting on his laurels, thank goodness. And he's not patting himself on the back. Well, he can't be resting on his laurels and patting himself on the back, can he? So a bit of a strange one. I walked into Jason Wilcox's office before, and the only one way to describe this, it looked like he was resting on his laurels and patting himself on the back, if you can imagine such a thing. I mean, his hands and legs were all over the place. I mean, it's very worrying, isn't it, for the sort of managerial situation, this. The last thing we thought he was doing was resting on his laurels or patting himself on the back, and it turns out he's doing both. You don't even want to know where his laurels were. He was resting on him, sat right on him he was. I love that. Resting on his laurels. What even are fucking laurels? Laurels are a plastic, fast-growing evergreen shrub, favoured for their dense privacy hedging, featuring large, glossy green leaves. They thrive in most soil types. Laurels resting on. Dates back to ancient Greece, where victors in the athletic games were awarded crowns made of laurel leaves. So a laurel is a shrub. They would make a crown. We know the ancient Greek crown. There you go, third one in. There's your laurel right there. Stand laurel over here. Why do we say resting on a laurel? So when you've won a crown, because you've done well at the games, you go in, I'm just resting on that now. And luckily, Jason Wilcox isn't doing that. And unless he is formally entering a back patting competition, in which case he will be patting himself on the back and he'll be doing it bloody well. Yeah? What he sets his mind to, he achieves. Patting laurels, resting on his back. When we got in there, he was resting on his back and patting his own laurels within an inch of their life. I'll be honest, those laurels were black and blue by the time we pulled him off them. Should be looking right. He should be conducting a thorough search for a new manager, and I've just walked in his office and he's laid on his back and he's patting his own laurels. Is that the actions of a man that is running the senior leadership at Manchester United? Next story. Man United race Newcastle to sign Julian Ryerson. Now, if you scroll back up a sec, sorry, that looks like a computer, all the way to the top. A computer has generated the average face of everyone that's played for Borussia Dortmund for the last 20 years, doesn't it? There's a little bit of Blaszczykowski in there, a little bit of Marco Reus, a little bit of... Who else we got in there? A little bit of everyone, really. That's every Dortmund player for the last 20 years rolled into one. A little bit of Julian Brandt in there for sure. Of course there is. I'm not going to turn that down. But this is an exclusive for Football Insider. Now, after the old Jason Wilcox story, I don't want to know where football's going. Manchester United and Newcastle United are racing each other to sign Borussia Dortmund right back Julian Ryerson this summer. Sources have told Football Insider. The Norway international is currently being tracked by both clubs with a view to making a move ahead of next season, and the Old Trafford outfit are understood to be keen on adding quality to the fullback areas. Good idea. For Newcastle, any move for Ryerson is likely to be dictated by the futures of Livramento and Kieran Trippier, with new right-back only to be on the Magpie shopping list if one of that duo departs. Keep scrolling, just slowly scroll. I mean, I get everyone's got to make a living here, but go back up. Keep going to the top. This article is literally 2 paragraphs, scroll, add, vid, 1 sentence, vid, add, 1 sentence, picture, add, 1 sentence, add, 2 sentences. I get it. We have obviously ads on the channel all the time. But some of these websites, like, no other websites look like this, do they? There's no other websites that you go on. It's only news websites where it's literally 1 sentence and then 2 adverts. Look at this. Look how massive it is. There you go. That's all right. You got 4 paragraphs there. Anyway, Julian Ryerson. What do we know about Julian Ryerson? We know, crucially, he's 28 years old, which for a lot of people would be enough to put him off. He's got 9 assists in the Bundesliga this season, which is obviously exceptional. I think he can play as a wing-back or as a right-back, a bit more of an attacking option. 9 assists is very good, regardless of what league you're playing in. Getting quality balls into the box, playing those passes, getting players involved as well, very impressive. And United presumably will be looking at fullbacks. Whether he is one of them, we'll have to wait and see. And I'm going to wait, no offence, for a slightly more reputable source to be quoting this. But it is worth keeping an eye on. It is a name that's worth having in our heads. Get a little head start if the Athletics start talking about it. There's another story actually that I don't think we've got at the moment, but I do want to mention it. We've got it it's in the chat. That story about Thiago Motta from Andy Mitten. I do think it's worth talking about this because it may add a new name to the potential list of United targets. Now, this is Andy Mitten talking on Talk the Devils podcast. He said, people don't know this, but Thiago Motta, before Ruben Amorim got the job, was being put forward to United as the next big thing in coaching. Nobody knew this was going on at the time. Nobody got any wind of this. United took him really, really seriously. Now, he's the sort of manager that, 43 years old, only retired from playing 5 or 6 years ago from PSG, has managed Genoa, Spezia, Bologna, Juventus. Bologna, crucially, was the one that I think where he sort of gained his reputation. I believe he managed Joshua Zirkzee there. Joined Juventus, and then last season, after Amorim had joined United, so Amorim joined United in November 2024. I believe it was November, certainly 2024. Then on the 23rd of March 2025, Motta was sacked by Juventus following a stretch of calamitous results, and then was replaced by Igor Tudor as an interim. I wonder whether that is still a name that United are interested in. And if not, it is so amazing to me how much momentum plays a role in football management. And it plays a role in football players as well. Obviously, you have 2 good seasons and you can get a move to a Champions League club. You have 18 bad months and you're playing for Northampton. I get that. But I do feel as though management, the skills required to be a good manager, for me, should either persist over time or even increase over time as you get more experience, more used to man management. And obviously, I'm sure there's a drop-off when maybe energy levels decline, etc., etc. I get that. But between the ages of maybe sort of 35, theoretically, and certainly 60, there's no reason why you should be a far worse manager at the end of that than you are at the start, assuming you keep up to date with tactical evolutions and stuff. So someone like Thiago Motta, that was considered a really rising star of management when he was at Bologna, gets the Juventus job, feels like he couldn't be further away from a big move now. And it's because he's had one failed stint at the top. It's so amazing to me that 6 good months as a manager can get you into that echelon of top managers, and 6 bad months, you will never get there again. Someone like Glasner or Emery, for instance, Unai Emery, he was on that track to becoming a top-level elite manager. You do brilliant things. Was it Sevilla, wasn't it? Was it 3 Europa Leagues in a row that he won, or did he win 2 of them? Whatever it was, he was hugely successful. Then he gets the Arsenal job. You are on that course to be in that realm of the Bayern Munichs, the Man Uniteds, Real Madrids. You can get those kind of jobs if you do well at Arsenal. Maybe or just stay at Arsenal, win some leagues. He has a semi-ropey 18 months. It wasn't even that bad. It wasn't terrible with the squad that we now know just isn't good enough. And it feels as though Emery will never get those top jobs again, despite doing probably the best job in the league over the last 2 or 3 years with Aston Villa. It doesn't feel like he's particularly linked to the United job. I've not heard any rumours of him being linked to sort of the big jobs around Europe. Maybe he will be able to recover and sort of push again for that. But that Arsenal stint, that's 18 semi-ropey months that weren't even terrible, the next 5 years of your career is taken a massive backward step. Madness. I mean, some great example. Look at Xabi Alonso, for example. Invincible season at Leverkusen, sacked within months at Madrid. And I think he's got one more big move in him, Alonso. I think people will claim mitigating circumstances at Madrid, and he'll get one more big move, whether that's Liverpool in the summer, which would be my prediction, whether that is, another job in Spain, or go to Italy, or a big club in England, Man United, whatever. If he fails again, wilderness, 5 years minimum. Ten Hag, Amorim, both managers massively on the up. Look what Ten Hag got Ajax to a Champions League semi-final for the first time in 25 years, whatever it was, or since the 90s. Does well at United, 3rd place finish, 2 trophies, 3 finals, wilderness. You get the Leverkusen job, sacked within 3 weeks. Mad. I just think it's such an incredibly volatile marketplace that we don't really talk about. One of the few that sort of came through it, Ancelotti. How have you gone from managing Everton to winning Champions Leagues with Real Madrid in 3 years? That is a remarkable one, but he had so much cash in the bank from the time at Milan, etc. So someone like Thiago Motta that Andy Mitten's talking about there, Feels like a million miles away from getting the United job. As does Oliver Glasner now, another guy that was on the way up, winning trophies with Frankfurt in Europe, going to Crystal Palace, winning their first trophy in their history. If Amram had been sacked at the start of last season, Glasner would have been one of the first names on the list. Again, feels a million miles away now. So bizarre how momentum affects managers. Not just for a year or two, but for 5-10 years sometimes. Let's talk about Kai Rooney a little bit. Kai Rooney, Man United career takes massive step forward as major new contract is signed. Man United's youth star Kai Rooney has seen a big decision on his future confirmed, which sees him following the footsteps of Father Wayne, which isn't a man from the local church, by the way. Father Wayne, of course, he conducts all the sermons at Old Trafford. No, he means that his father, Wayne Rooney. Man United youngster Kai Rooney signed a Triple S Sports Management, the same agency that Dad Wayne was signed to. The global company is owned by his agent, Paul Stretford, with it clear the plans... The global company is owned by agent Paul Stretford, with it clear the plans for Kai moving forward. Am I an idiot? It kind of sounds right. With it clear, the plans for moving forward. We know what they're trying to say, even if I'm reading it wrong or it's grammatically weird. Another sentence. Confirming his addition, a post on Instagram read, "Delighted to announce the signing of Kai Rooney 10 to Triple S Sports." I mean, I think we can all take a big sigh of relief here, can't we? We were looking at our Triple S Sports collectible booklet that we all apply for with hundreds of pounds. It gets sent to us. You have all your stickers. All the people that are signed to Triple S Sports, you get the stickers in the back, don't we? We all get it every year. You got your, Shiny Sven-Göran Eriksson. You've got your Wayne Rooney, of course, or Father Wayne, as we call him. You've got all sorts of people in there. But we were just waiting for that Kai Rooney sticker to be released, so we can put that in. That's the big A4 sticker. So I'm absolutely delighted at that. Arsenal definitely wants players. Oh, interesting. Rockstar talking about the players that Arsenal are going to sign in the summer. We should make our moves now. Well, maybe. That's a good point. It's the MEN. I expect better award-winning literacy from Paul Scholes. Yeah, that's a good point. Paul Stretford, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Yeah, that's a name that sort of persisted through the years, isn't it? Surrounding, obviously, Wayne Rooney famously and other players as well. Yeah, it's a name that's been long in the making. This is the Triple S Sports Entertainment Group Limited. So here's some of the stickers that we can expect from next year's collection. You got your James Garner, foil Harry Maguire, of course. You got your Rising Star Shea Lacey sticker, your End of an Era Sam Tickle sticker, and of course, who could forget JJ McKiernan and Christopher and Chris. He's in there as well. And there you go, Wayne Rooney, DJ Isdale as well. And Danny Omerod, who doesn't have a face yet, but we're working on that for next year's collection. So there you go. We've got one final story. And this, let's get it up. Rodri's been pissing around with a drone. Man City's Rodri. Neighbours have reported him to the police for flying a drone outside the windows of their apartment. Okay. Peeping Tom. Yeah, we'll get to the photo in a second. They claim that the drone has invaded their privacy and left them fearing he has been able to see into their properties while they relax at home. What's going on here? The police will speak to the Ballon d'Or winner. New. I live with my partner on a high floor, and the last thing you expect when you're watching telly is a drone a metre outside your window. My wife is very unnerved by it. One of the benefits of living so high up is that you're not overlooked by anyone. But now we are plagued by Rodri and his drone. If we could just see the culprit there. There he is, look. Quite clearly Rodri. Looking up at the drone. I mean, there is a camera on the device itself. But he's there, look, flying his drone. This is... I mean, I know this is going to sound stupid. And not that I think that rich people should be living a completely different life to the rest of us. But isn't it sometimes a bit of a stark reminder that you can earn 250, 300 grand a week, and how do you get joy? Flying a kid's Christmas present into people's houses. Do you know what I mean? There isn't like another level of the world to get to. Like if you've got an iPhone and a drone and a pair of white trainers, you've got the same life as Rodri. You may not have a personal chef. Your house is probably a bit smaller. Your car probably doesn't do 0 to 60s quickly. But it's still the same things. It's still the same things of joy. Because let's be honest, as funny as it is and as silly as it is, we all kind of like to fly a drone near places we're not meant to, don't we? My nephew got a little cheap drone for Christmas. Not the one he's got, like a little 20, 30 quid number. And we got it. And all of us, me, my dad, my brother-in-law, my sister, we were desperate to go on that drone. And so's Rodri. We're not so different, us and these major rich celebrities, are we? These footballers. At the end of the day, we just want to fly a drone into someone's house and see what they're up to. That's life. That's life, I guess. It's a nice way to end the show, I think. We're not so different. And maybe if we did have 60 million quid in the bank, we'd still get joy from standing on a balcony and flying a drone into an unwitting couple's room. I think that's a nice place to end the show. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got so much coming up later. We've got me and Stephen Howson. We've got Uncensored as well. Billy the Goat is joining me and Adam McCullough on that one. And, plenty more coming up as well. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel and check out the merch if you haven't already. The link is in the description. Loads of different stuff. Jumpers, T-shirts, long sleeve T-shirts, hoodies, everything. The link is in the description for that. You can see there as well. Stretfordpaddock.store. Go and have a look. Just see if you like anything. And if you do, make sure you get stuck in. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been the news. We'll see you in a bit.